Public input on a regular agenda item will be taken at its appropriate discussion. Citizens should speak from the lectern, address all comments to the dais, begin by stating their name and address or single-member district number, and limit their remarks to less than 3 minutes. Okay. So, motion to approve the March 4th, 2026 meeting minutes.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so moving on to the regular agenda. First, consider a request to waive the Kirby Park Pavilion rental fee for a private nonprofit event.
We don't get these requests too often. I have mixed feelings, thoughts about it. But the location, Kirby Park, up on 29th Street, Edmond Boulevard, it's the large pavilion on the north side of the park. That was an aerial view. This is a ground view. It's a large pavilion. It's used a lot for special events. It has 2 basketball courts, restrooms. It's right next to the playgrounds and the splash pad. So yeah, the Children's Advocacy Center of Greater West Texas, their staff planning committee have asked for the rental fee to be waived. We charge a rental fee for private events. If folks want to use it for a special event, we don't charge for that special event. But in this case, they want to do it as a private event for their family, the staff and the staff's family, to have a picnic with about 40 people. The date is May 27, from 5:30 to 7:30. And their reasoning is to maximize their limited budget being a nonprofit organization. We established this fee, one, because it's a large asset that's used from time to time, and it has been used by families and private groups to rent. Before we had the fee, we would just reserve it for them. Now that we have a fee, we've been charging. Again, not for special events, not open to the public. This being private, we do charge. I'm personally okay with it, but I don't want to set a precedent. They asked for it, and so when they asked for it, we asked them to submit a letter, which is part of your packet, and I told them we'd have to take it to the board for a recommendation. I don't know what your thoughts are, but
I'd say waive it in this instance, but you ought to develop a policy on nonprofits in the future. Like, you charge them a deposit, refundable deposit that, that cover any expensive cleanup or anything afterwards if need be, or a limited or a discounted rate, but just develop a policy.
so deposit and or
Just a refundable deposit.
less charge.
I mean, but would they be open to using something like Station 618 instead of Kirby?
They're doing a picnic, so,
Yeah.
I mean, that could be an alternate location, especially if the weather's not good, but in this case, they want to do a picnic. be
Right,
outside.
okay.
But they've only got 40 people,
Yes.
so there's a bunch of places they could use other than that, right? I mean, we charge a fee because we don't have enough money to contain the parks and stuff as it is, right?
But yes, that's why we do
So-
charge a fee.
And we don't have a policy about nonprofits or anything?
No, at this point, no.
I mean, I have the same concern that you do, is like, one off, you're like, well, why not? It's a good organization, but next thing you know, you're not ever charging a fee.
And the other side is we haven't had that many private requests to use the pavilion, probably at least a dozen since we started charging. This goes years back, so it's not that often, but the word could get out, and of course, this is televised.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, with 40 people, there are some other pavilions that are in the parks that could work. They might be a little crowded with that many folks. And they may end up with more than 40 people, but that's what they stated.
I mean, what's the purpose of the fee?
Is to generate some revenue to cover some of the expenses. It doesn't cover all the expenses.
So if we're not covering the expenses, then we don't have the expenses covered.
Yeah. For me, I'd rather it be a situation of they're putting in a lot of effort, a lot of volunteers to put on an event for the community that would provide some impact for everybody. With it being a private event for just 40 people, I don't see this being an event that we would waive the fee.
Okay.
That's
That's your staff recommendation?
So I agree with the idea of the deposit, or at least having a policy in place. Like, I think this raises an issue that we have in that there is no policy in place for requests like this from nonprofits. I agree with you that I have mixed feelings on this, but I think action does need to be taken regardless of this for future requests like this.
I mean, it's I agree with Ben's comment is that, I mean, the problem is you don't have a policy about this, 'cause that's what you want. You want to establish a policy when there aren't requests, when you know what's going on, so you can just say, okay, this is the policy, this is how we do this. And we apparently don't have one for nonprofits. Or we have one under their policy that this is a $400.
Yes.
Right. So the question is, do we want to change the policy?
And it's not uncommon at other locations that groups have their fee waived. It happens a little more often at the Fort facilities, so it's not uncommon, but
So when do they get waived I mean, who gets them waived in the fort and why, under what are the general circumstances where that happens?
it's usually a nonprofit organization that wants to use the facility, and they're asking to waive the fee, and it goes to their board
Okay.
for consideration.
I don't like the idea of having nonprofits waive fees in general, just because there are so many nonprofits, and the point of having the fee is to cover the cost of wear and tear on, the park. So it doesn't matter if it's, a benefit to a nonprofit organization or not, it's still the same wear and tear. And same cleanup,
True.
so.
So, I mean, either recommend to waive the fee or recommend not to waive the fee, or maybe something in between.
Do we have any more discussion about this before we make a recommendation? So all those in favor of waiving the fee for this event?
So you want a motion to waive the fee? So I move.
Yeah,
I move
we'll do a vote of,
Yeah, so I move.
support the removal or waiving the fee or against it. So all those in favor of waiving the
We
fee?
need a motion.
Right,
motion.
second.
Right. So I move that we waive the fee.
Okay.
I agree.
I'm in favor. Aye.
But
All those-
you have
yeah,
a motion
so-
second, so
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Public
Yeah.
comment?
Okay.
no,
public comment.
nobody signed up for it, right?
No, they couldn't come.
They
I
have to
did
sign
email
up
them.
for it.
Okay. Now you can take your
All right. All those in favor of waiving the fee?
Aye.
1, 2, 3. Okay.
Opposed?
Nay.
But what was the vote? Did you get it, Dana?
Oh. Okay.
And what were the votes? Do we have record of the votes?
Yes.
I got four ayes and 1 nay. Yeah, I know, because I wanted us to answer the question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was to waive the fee.
I just
Waive
decided
the
that was
fee,
a better
yes.
way to do it. I could have done it the other way. It's,
Yeah,
you know.
no, he was just wanting to see where it was going to go. So there was the first and second,
Was,
Yeah.
and the vote was
To
4 in
waive.
favor,
yes.
1 against.
But I do think we do need to review this and consider
Okay.
policy moving forward.
Future agenda item.
Yeah, future agenda item.
Yeah, you guys need to have a policy for that. And if it's like 50% or something, you can do whatever you want, but that's going to save us a lot of headache in the future, right?
And I would say 50%, just because there's still going to be cleanup.
Yes,
And
Right.
that's easy.
I also, just as a staff recommendation, maybe, as a staff recommendation, maybe select parks that cost less for nonprofits to rent. Because Kirby is one of the
James,
highest.
I'm hard of hearing, James. I can't hear what's going on down there. Sorry.
I said, maybe future agenda, to choose parks for nonprofits that cost less, because Kirby is the highest costed park. So we could just label certain parks for nonprofits' use.
I would say bring us back what you guys think is the right policy for feedback, right? Because I agree. I mean, my first comment is, well, why don't you go to cheaper place. I mean, there's plenty of places where they do 40 people, and like, what is the one on Avenue L? Is it in that, was it L?
Glenmore,
How much does that cost? Because they can put 40 people in there
that one's
easy.
20 an hour now. But 30 is pretty comfortable, 40 is a little tight.
Yeah, I'm just, anyway,
I was just gonna say, do you talk to these organizations about setting up times and arrangements and stuff? Because, I mean, maybe it's just a one-on-one basis, like when somebody comes to you wanting to do an event and they're a nonprofit organization.
I don't
and they
want
wanna-
that, I don't want that
You
authority.
don't want that
that's why
authority?
that's why he's
Okay.
asking us, right?
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, maybe it's
Yeah.
one of those things you walk through, these 3 locations would be well-suited for the number of people that you say you have coming, and it's just
Well, I think they
a,
do that, right?
Yes, we do that.
yeah, so you help, like, kind of guide them to the most appropriate place
Right.
that they should be.
Yeah, I think that happens all the time.
We'll come back with a little bit of policy
And
update and
what
some,
facilities there are and how much they are?
yeah, we have that.
Yeah.
And that we're actually looking to possibly go up on some of the most popular ones next fiscal year.
I mean, we don't have enough money to maintain the parks as it is, you know, and that's $10 a head for their thing. I don't know.
cheapest venue they're gonna get,
It is for such a large venue.
Yeah, if you're gonna get a large venue, I mean, it's gonna cost you $1,000 in town to get a venue for anything of it, right?
We're good.
Okay, moving on to the next item, consider a request to lease the Ben Ficklin Field.
Recently leased this field to a small youth sports private organization. About 3 years ago, they used it, this is the field right here, it's off South Bryant and the South Concho River. It's just this singular field here. It used to be under Southside Little League's district, but Southside Little League moved when we did the sports complex, and then they disbanded. So that field's been available. It did have lights. The lights, through council's approval, were basically donated to the Wall School District, or, yeah.
Yes, sir.
So it doesn't have lights, and I don't think it doesn't have a good irrigation system now.
Irrigation is not viable. Turf is maintained at a minimum level.
So we did have somebody leasing it about 3 years ago. They used it for about a year and a half, and then they basically walked away from the lease. So we would love to lease it again. What we got was a letter of interest, but we didn't really get a proposal. If we do get this proposal with these key terms, if y'all are okay with that, if we get that proposal, we'll move forward with leasing it. It needs to be a 2-3 year lease. I don't like to go longer than that. A 500-year payment to the city, that's what it was, and that's comparable to other similar properties, like at the lake that we lease to different groups. And then they're responsible for all maintenance of the field, and if they want to do any improvements, like add irrigation, they need to work through the city and parks to do that. So if we do get that proposal with those, if they agree to those basic terms, are y'all okay with us moving forward with the lease? I recommend so.
My question, if it was $500, should it still be $500?
We could ask to increase it. 600?
I mean,
Yeah, I think the $500 is fair, especially if they're agreeing to pick up the maintenance on that, and it cuts us back from having to go out there and maintain it as frequently.
How much money do you think it's, like, how much time and money do you think, how much money and time do you think it saves y'all not having to maintain
Yeah,
it?
it definitely more than $500,
Okay.
so.
So what happens if they don't maintain it?
Then the lease terminates. We
Yeah,
pick it
That
up.
stipulation-
We like it to be leased and taken care of by
That
others.
stipulation is in-
It's not
in the
part of our
contract.
primary programming in any way.
in fact, it's basically not used at all, right?
It is very underutilized. Like Carl mentioned, there was a group 2 or 3 years ago that came in and did have this lease and did utilize it, but they walked away from that. And right now, we maintain it at a minimum level, basically when it,
Yeah, if they can they can take that burden off you,
Yep.
it's not being used for anything else.
absolutely.
Right, and then it provides an additional practice space. So one of
Yes.
the things we talked about with Jeremy is what he would like to do is in the agreement, I want to have it built in to where he can sublease. So if, especially the complex, when we're maxed out on fields, there's another option we have that people can go to rent. He's a NCS director now, which means he can put on tournaments at the complex, but also he can maybe drive in some practices at that field, and not just practices, but clinics. So for development of these kids in the area. So, I think it would be a good use for the community without overhead added to the city.
So are we okay with them so you're talking about them actually charging for use, and that's okay?
Yes, because, with the amount of money they're going to need for maintaining that field and, and also maybe helping out another youth association that they're a part of or whatever, they're going to need some funds. So that's where, hey, charging for that field can help support them to be able to do more stuff out there.
And we do want it to be used, and we always have a shortage of practice fields.
Is this a select thing?
I want to say he's with, did he say he was with Northern?
Yeah, he's associated with Northern Little League.
Yeah, he's with Northern and then NCS in terms of being able to put on tournaments.
Do you need a motion from us, or you just need to sense it?
Yes, I would like a recommendation.
Have you had any conversation with this person? Because the letter mentions they would welcome the opportunity to discuss the availability, the terms, the maintenance. Have you
I've been
gone
wanting to
beyond
line that up. We
Okay.
haven't been able to, but we're working it with Jessica.
Yes, so we've talked, so now I just need him to basically send this again, but I wanted to talk to y'all first about, are we good with these terms for him to submit? And then if we're good with those, I'll have him submit his letter.
This plus the ability to sublease it.
Right.
Okay.
So I move that we encourage the Park District to pursue a lease with this organization under the general terms that they've identified.
I'll second.
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Moving on, discuss the conceptual improvements to the stormwater runoff and lagoon as well as water collection reuse at Civic League Park.
So I'd like to introduce our civil engineering capstone team from Angelo State University. I'll let them introduce themselves, but they're here to do the initial presentation. This is the project they're working on at Civic League Park. We've had some discussions about it before. They're here to do their preliminary presentation of that. So please introduce yourselves and proceed.
Make sure you speak into the mic, please.
Make sure the light's green and you're talking into the mic. Because by the way, you're live.
Hi, everybody. My name's Taylor Hines, and I'm the project lead for the Civic League Park design.
I'm Griffin, and I'm the hydro lead. Oh, sorry. My name's Griffin, and I'm the hydro lead.
And my name is Chadwick Williams, and I am the Civil 3D lead and the water treatment lead.
And since I'm in control of the slides, somebody's got to tell me next slide.
We're good.
Good. Next slide. So the meeting agenda for today is to go over the project overviews and objectives that we have for this project, the current site conditions that the project is currently in, our proposed solutions, how our systems will work within the project, how the project could benefit from our proposed solutions, and then the preliminary costs that we have created. So the project objectives are to restore the lagoon and the park area. We also want to increase the stormwater management and improve it as we go. We would also like to include a water storage and treatment system at the park. And then we would like to do pond and dam improvements to the current pond and dam that are at the park. And then we would like to use the stormwater for irrigation reuse purpose. So here's our existing system. On the left, we have the layout of the park entirely. We would like to do, there's two water runoffs, one off to the west side and then one up off to the north. The volume of the lagoon currently is about 2.5 acre feet, which that's about 4 Olympic swimming pools in size. And at the end of the lagoon. There is currently a dam that has failed and water is seeping through, preventing the lagoon from holding any water inside of it.
Yeah.
Outline the lagoon itself, because it's kind of hard to see compared to the river
Right.
there.
So right here is our actual lagoon area, as well as the north inlet to our lagoon right here, and a west inlet that comes in from under the road here and into the lagoon. It kind of follows along into there. Yeah, and then here's the existing dam, and then we also have a gabion wall that's inside the pond. And that's sort of it's failed, so we want to remove that as well. And then over here on the right, we actually have our north inlet into the lagoon. And you can kind of see this sedimentation that's kind of occurred here, as well as we have trash, like I think we've counted 4 shopping carts at some points, trash cans. And then there's also, below that is a pond liner that is it's a concrete pond liner, and this sedimentation has just formed all on top of that, and the pond liner itself has failed. We're good to go. So in order to actually build a design for this system, we have to find something called a watershed, and right here is our watershed. Now this watershed is over 510 acres, that's massive, and everything inside this shaded area, all the water that falls into that area flows directly into our lagoon, which is right here, that kind of a red circle. It's hard to see. And so the rainfall data that we actually use to design systems like this is the 100-year, 24-hour storm event. And all that is it's a storm event that occurs on average every 100 years. And so what that is in rainfall is 7.97 inches, and that number comes from NOAA. We're good. So whenever we run that calculation on how much rainfall is actually falling into that watershed, we come up with a peak flow into the lagoon of being 595 cubic feet per second, and a volume accumulation of 256 acre feet, which is roughly 427 Olympic swimming pools. And if you can remember from earlier, our lagoon can only store 4 Olympic swimming pools, so that's kind of a big number that we're off on. And a vast majority of that comes straight through our north inlet right here. And that is because the watershed for that is number 3 here, which is much larger than the watersheds that are also here, which number 2 is our west inlet into the park.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Y'all see the old boundaries of the park where that rock wall was?
Yes, sir.
Did that north entrance, did they divert that into the park so they could collect water?
So-
It looks to me like it should have gone straight into the river.
I'm not too sure about that, but it might be, because that concrete culvert that runs under that road is actually precast, or not precast, it was built into the road.
Yeah, that was built when they built
Right.
the high school.
Yes, sir.
And, but it looked like to me they diverted it. The thing that forms that lagoon on the east side, that bank, that almost looks like that was man-made.
Right.
So, I mean, they formed the lagoon, they built it.
Yes, sir. I'm not too sure on the history. She has all that. If she wants to talk about that, and maybe we can discuss that a little later. We're good to go on to the next one. So for that culvert that has that high flow that's coming through it, essentially, whenever you model that, what happens is all that water collects right here inside this area because it can't flow fast enough through the culvert that goes under the road and into the lagoon. So it ends up flooding this area and overtopping the road, and that causes a lot of problems. So right now, with that existing culvert, we also have potential damages that come into the actual system itself. So like once we start talking about the irrigation system we're going to propose, these flooding events could damage those systems, as well as the culvert that flows under that road because it can't handle that kind of flow. So what we propose is to put a diversion culvert right here that can take this collected water during these high storm events and push it all into the river. And that would stop the flooding and then lower our chances of total system failure on the irrigation side. Next slide.
And now on to the stormwater pretreatment systems. The stormwater pretreatment systems is a very important component to ensure that the proper restoration of the lagoon. And the first step is that we are proposing a trash rack. And those trash racks would be placed at the entrance of the culvert that Griffin just talked about, one on the west side and at the north side. The purpose of the trash rack is to prevent all large debris such as branches and logs or anything big that can fit to not go into the culvert, right? And then the next step would be to propose a forebay. And the forebay slows down the water and to make the whatever escapes through the trash rack, those small particles will go into the forebay. So think of the forebay as a bowl. All of those particles would go into the forebay and sedimentation will take place. And obviously, when you have a bowl, that slows down the water and then it moves on to the next side of the treatment. And the next side of the treatment is having a stormwater wetland. The purpose of the wetland is that it also cleans the stormwater and filters out pollution through vegetation. And it also helps to reduce flooding by storing that extra water, and it creates a natural habitat for plants. And the plants, there's various plant options that you could use, but we were recommending or proposing buttonbush because it's very adaptable in dry seasons and wet seasons also. And then finally, what we are proposing at the lagoon is to have an aerated fountain, and that would improve the water quality also, because when you have a fountain, it keeps the water moving. The water is not stagnant, and when the water is not stagnant, that means it can prevent algae from forming, and also it reduces the odor. So all those levels of pre-treatment with the trash rack, forebay, and wetland, by the time all of those treatments happen and it gets to the actual lagoon that everyone can see, the water should be at a really high quality. Now, onto the irrigation side of stuff, like when you have stormwater harvesting and you're reclaiming that water, there are certain standards that you have to follow for Texas, but we are connecting to the park's existing drip irrigation system, and for the standards for drip irrigation, it doesn't require any treatment. While if we were doing like a sprinkler system, that we would be required to disinfect or reduce the turbidity. Turbidity is how clear the water is, mostly for aesthetic reasons, and reduce the iron in the piping.
So for the pond water level, as it fluctuates through the year, because we will be pumping that water, we typically want to keep that water level at around 5 feet of elevation from the bottom of the pond floor. That will fluctuate by 2 feet because we will have the pumping stop once it drops down to 3 feet. So sort of what you see whenever you plot this on a graph is that through the year, it's going to be fluctuating at this 5 feet to 2 feet because of rainfall. Now, the reason it fluctuates so high is that because whenever it does rain, our watershed is so big that it doesn't matter if it's only half an inch, it will still just shoot up just because all of that collects right there. And then it continues to pump and evaporate, and then it goes down to 3 feet. It stops pumping. And then unless there's a serious drought, it shouldn't ever go below that 3 feet water level mark. And so putting all that together, we kind of come up with a yearly average for every month of where that water level kind of sits at. And just from this the past 10-year rainfall data, it sits at around 4.5 feet. So what that looks like, so this area in blue here is where that water level would be at 5 feet. It would kind of come up here, stop at the dam. This is also assuming that the dam is repaired, so that there is no huge amounts of water seepage. Because as of right now, that water comes up to the dam and it pretty much just flows right through it. So we want to retain that water inside the actual lagoon. And here's what it would look like at 3 feet. So just to keep it so that it's still aesthetically pleasing just to the general public and anybody who's kind of walking around the park there.
Can you go back a slide? So I just want to make sure people understand how this is operating, right? So that basically every time it rains, that watershed is so big it's going to fill up. And then in discussions with the park district, decide that if it gets below this level, then we basically don't want to have you want to have a dry pond and then a full pond, because then it's just, I mean, it's not aesthetically pleasing. So the proposal is the operating levels between those two.
Does that make a provision for that diversion you were going to make?
So with the diversion, that water that gets diverted through there is going to be put at like a higher elevation. So like if we have just the base flow of water, like let's say half an inch of rain, it should still technically all drain into our lagoon.
You weren't going to completely divert the northern?
No, sir. No, we still want that water coming in just so we have that extra storage for irrigation.
Yeah, the reason that floods is because that central parking lot, I mean.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah, it's not just the,
it's like.
Yeah, that watershed is huge,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, it's not.
All that runs off.
Yeah, the parking lot's bad, but that's not the majority of the flow.
Oh, sorry.
And now on to the tank system. So for the tank system, we were proposing a 30,000 gallon galvanized steel tank, similar to what is at Kirby, for the reclaimed stormwater that we will be collecting. And it would basically be like a hybrid system. We'd be connecting to the city water. Once all of that 30,000 gallon is reduced to like 20%, the city water would kick in. And there are standards that we have to follow when we're connecting to city water. We have to ensure that there is no, we have a backflow prevention, because we can't mix stormwater and city water together. So we have to also have a air gap there to protect for cross-contamination. And then that water, when it's connecting to the drip irrigation system, the water is routed, will be pumped through like a disc filter before it enters the irrigation system. And then overall, for the aesthetic look, we were proposing like a masonry wall that would enclose that galvanized tank to improve the aesthetics.
Question. On one of these maps, do you show where this might go?
Right.
At the park? Okay.
Yes. So the next slide. So here we are. This is this is our proposed system layout. As Griffin mentioned, we have the stormwater divergence, and that would bring majority of that 100-year storm and distribute it into the river. And then the remaining water that we want to receive, it will go through the trash rack, and I mentioned what the trash rack is for, then it enters the forebay and the proposed wetlands, and then our retention pond. And we also have the proposed forebay over the west side of the site, and there's a trash rack also. And then we have our proposed 2-inch PVC pipe that would be placed almost in this, you can see at the center of the lagoon, and it would be pumped straight to our proposed galvanized steel tank, which would be placed probably slightly behind, or it could be proposed to be replaced the current statue that is already there. If so that was proposed, and then we have our proposed concrete dam that would help to retain the water, to stop this current seepage that's going on. And these are our references. And thank you. Any comments or questions?
One thing I did also want to mention that our preliminary cost estimate right now is sitting around 3 million. But once we get to our final product, we could expect that to go up by another 2 million or so.
Are you gonna completely reline the bottom?
Yes, sir. So we weren't actually able to cover nearly as much as what we've already gone through during this presentation. And we're going to cover every single topic that we have throughout this project on May 1st at our actual capstone presentation. So if anybody would like to attend that would we could send you some information for that.
Where's it gonna be?
It should be at ASU. I don't have an exact location.
Oh, Bill got it.
Yeah, we'll give, if you want to do the save the date, it'll be, it's on May 1st, and I'm trying to remember if it's at 11. I think it's at 11. Yeah, 11 o'clock, May 1st. It'll be on the ASU campus. So you can do the save the date, and I'll get you invites out to that. But it'd be great, yeah, it'd be great to have you all there. So what, can you go over the other parts of the system that are going to be in the design that you, just so that briefly, so I know, since you got the question about the liner.
So there's two proposed liners that we're thinking about. We're thinking about just ripping out the original concrete liner and just laying a new concrete liner. Or we're proposing an HPDE liner, which is a high polymer liner that has a geotextile underneath it, but that also leaves the issues of being able to get equipment in there to scoop out.
They have ramps in there now, so.
What we were proposing is a geotextile layer on the bottom and as well as on top to make sure that that pond liner doesn't get punctured by any equipment that they would want to get in there and get out, to make sure that the pond stays free of sediments.
And then what recommendations are you making for the dam?
As of right now, the recommendations that we're going through is either just tearing down the original concrete dam and building a brand new one, or doing a gabion dam that has a concrete wall in the front so that we still have water retention. And they're both going to be designed as overflow dams. That way, if the pond or the lagoon does reach heights that are not agreeable, the water can divert into that subsection into the river.
I have a quick question for clarification. So earlier, I thought I heard that the light blue area is all at a depth of 5 feet, or it all is, even all the way up to this westernmost forebay?
Yes, sir.
Because right now, Mario, it's only, a couple of feet, if even that. It's pretty shallow. It does get deeper as you go
Yeah,
down.
it doesn't get any deeper. I would say right now it probably sits about 3 feet, two to 3 feet.
When you guys say 5 feet, that's measured in what part of the pond?
So we're measuring from the lowest part of the pond right now, which is right here. So that right there, that elevation is at 1814. And if we raise that another 5 feet, we have this kind of sloping elevation that goes up this way. So once you hit to about right here where that cuts off, it is at 1819, which is 5 feet above that bottom elevation here.
Maybe show the low water one, so. Because it's on the next slide on it, or was it an earlier slide? So, yeah, so this is what, it's supposed to not get any lower this, unless we get into a drought and we don't have any water, right? And then when it's full, so, and then go back one more. Other way. Oh, well, that's fine. When it's full, it backs up that. And did you guys figure out whether you have to replace that one bridge where the high schoolers hang out? I don't know what else they call it, the high school bridge.
It looks like it's just touching the bottom of it.
Okay.
Just from
One of the things I got to figure out is with this elevation change, you have to either raise or replace that bridge.
What's that? Oh,
So when they say 5 feet, they mean what they should be saying elevation 960, whatever it is, but it's, in the center of the pond, it's gonna be 5 feet deep.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and there's a little can you put the pointer where the high schoolers hang out?
Right here.
There's a little bridge there across that, right? And they're trying to figure out the elevation of that right now to figure out whether it's gonna be inundated when they're at this level. If it is, because this is operational level, they're gonna have to raise it up. It's not a very significant, I don't think it's culturally significant, it's just.
Project is,
Yeah, but
you know,
it could easily just be raised without changing it. It's a concrete, deck bridge with some stone masonry, sides on it. It's pretty simple. Pardon?
Didn't we go across that?
Well, I
Or
don't
did
think
we
he was
go-
on the
I
tour,
have.
but
Where did we go up to?
I don't
The
remember being out
master
there.
plan-
Were you with, I don't remember being out there with y'all.
we did a steering committee River Parks Master Plan tour.
Oh, you did,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
I missed that one. Yeah, okay.
So the 5 feet will raise the water level around the current draw.
Yeah, it'll back up into that. This is, when it's at 5 feet, it backs all the way up to that western, on that western entryway there, just like it shows there.
Yeah, I think we would just want to know what impact there is to the current layout of the park.
but
Yeah.
what about all the rock walls, the existing rock walls, the liners? Are you gonna elevate those too?
Can you say that again?
I mean, the rock walls that now, that form the banks of the lagoon.
If we're going to elevate it?
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna elevate the water level, you'll have to elevate.
Yes,
those
we
too.
should. Yes.
Yeah,
They're gonna provide not the design for the retaining walls there, but for the dimensions of them. So,
Right.
and the intent is to cover them with, is to use the same stone facade on them. Is that right? Yeah.
Right.
But they'll be higher, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
it would be.
So that's the big change. Those are the big changes.
So this is all conceptual, and we would like a recommendation, if y'all are okay with this. We have been meeting with the students about every month, Mario, Marcus, and I, to go over the project, so they've come up with a really good concept, I think. It's something that it would be great if we could implement it. I think, depending on if y'all have a recommendation, I can take that to the steering committee that's doing the River Parks Master Plan and say, here's a kind of packaged concept that could be added to this master plan.
Do so. Or I'll make a motion that we do so.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Had a very good presentation.
Thank you.
Golly. You may have to come get your thumb drive. I can't get it out.
Good job, everyone. Okay. Moving on, continued discussion of the Kids Kingdom Playground and its need for replacement, along with funding possibilities for this, as well as for other playgrounds, and recommend any related matters.
We've talked about this at least 2 or 3 meetings, and at the last meeting, y'all basically said, come back to us with a recommendation. And so I had to think about it, and when we came last time, we had the finance folks here, and they basically just reiterated what we'd already proposed before as possible tools to get the funding to do the playground replacements. So my recommendation is this letter, which I wish I'd created a few days earlier to send out so y'all could read it before the meeting. And if you'd like to, take a look at this, and then we could have it on the agenda for the next meeting. Is this something you could support? Basically, it's a letter of recommendation that talks about the approach staff recommends, the board recommends to move forward with playground replacements. Yes, that hand up. Just 2-pager. I think y'all have it. And basically, it would, if you want to take a look at it now, I'll shut up.
Particularly in the Kids Kingdom thing, I would word the financial requirements more clearly. I mean, I would go, we're talking about, so the master plan is going to be done when?
This fall.
Yeah, so the master plan is going to be done this fall. And I like the recommendation that we, include this, the importance of that in the master plan. But I mean, I want to tell them to go start finding the money right now, because 2027 is next year, right? So, I mean, I would say something to the effect that, we highly recommend that, the money to replace this be located now, because, I mean, all we're doing is saying, hey, there's like a requirement out there, we'd like you to know. I mean, I say,
So put some more.
The city should be finding $1.2 million right now to do this replacement next year, because otherwise we'll lose, one of the three.
And that's just what I'm estimating. I mean, after the master plan, folks may come up with something less or more.
Well, yeah, but it's not going to be 200,000, and it's not going to be 3 million.
So add some emphasis on that. Say, hey, start.
Yeah, well, at least start. I mean, even though we don't know what the number is, start start identifying the funds right now. Because if we wait till November, December they come out.
That's the next budget.
Then it's we're in the next budget year already.
I wanted to ask, have y'all gotten, how much feedback have y'all gotten from the online survey so far about what people are seeking for the master plan?
Yeah, that was going to be part of the next item, but
okay, sorry.
they've gotten a lot of responses, but they haven't shared with us what those responses are.
Okay.
We've only seen what comments folks have said on the Facebook page,
Okay.
which is all over the map, as you can imagine.
Carl,
No data center.
Carl, if you go to the end of that survey, it'll actually give you a link to where you can see what everybody's saying and how everybody voted. I actually
I
looked
did
at
not
it.
know that.
I looked at it today
Thank you.
before I came.
So can you,
Okay.
do you have an idea? Can you just
Yeah,
say
what have you
anything,
seen?
what are you seeing
So,
overall?
consensus on one of the big areas that I noticed, which I was pleasantly surprised, is a lot of people were geared towards maintaining this thing, and which made me happy to read, because that's my number one priority when I look at this master plan, is how are we going to maintain it? And it seems like the public is on the same page. But a lot of it was leisure, things geared towards the kids. It's really interesting. If you do that survey and you go to the end, it'll give you a link to where you can see how people responded. I think I counted from the responses I've seen, probably over 1,000 people that submitted information on that survey. So good information.
I'm just thinking, it might end up taking on a different life when you add all these other, aspects to the River Parks master plan area. But right now, what I look at when I go down there is I see people walking, I see 2 people playing golf maybe, and I see, every evening I see lots of people at the playground. So even though it doesn't feel like a capital improvement, I feel like it is, because it's generating a lot of people to that area. And I know San Angelo has been focused on bringing people, driving people to the downtown area. That's been a heavy focus for them for a long time. So I do think it's more important and more significant than anybody may give it credit for.
I would start this out by saying we have these, identifying the importance of this park, right? And I would also put it in the context of we have these 3 anchor parks, right? We've got I'm never gonna get the names right. Kirby in the north, and is it Unidad? Is that right? Unidad in the south, and then this one's you've said this before. This is Central Park of San Angelo, and we don't know the scope. We don't know the entire scope of what's going to come out of the master plan for this. But we already know if we were just to replace what we had right now, it's going to be at least $1.2 million, and that it's already at its end of its useful life. And, I mean, the point I would like to make is we want them to start right now budgeting for that for next year so that we can immediately implement the recommendations for the board for what, from the master plan for whatever comes out of it. Because if we wait for them to publish that and everybody to think about it, and now it's 2028, and that part's going to, that playscape's going to be shut down.
Well, will it even last?
No, that's my point. By then, it'll be shut down, right, Mario?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Right.
We're
And
getting close to the end of its life.
So let's, so the city council needs to help, the city manager and the city council need to figure out right now how they're gonna fund that unless they want a closed Kids Kingdom sometime in 2027.
Okay. No, it's good.
I would really word it hardly about that, and then I would make that the big one, and then I would follow on with, we have estimates for the replacement costs for all these, and we highly recommend those get programmed in, so we're not running the situation where we're going to have to shut down a major, playscape.
Because some of those are like 10 years out, so
Yeah.
they're not priority like Kids Kingdom is.
Right. My other thing is, on here, we keep going back to like unspent salary savings, and we mentioned that last time, but like, could we dip into, could we convince city council that we need funding from another area? I don't know where it would come from, but something else that could go towards this and just find a way to justify it.
For Kids
Yeah.
Kingdom, the possibility is a development corporation, not to fund all of it, but I think some of it perhaps, but we need to approach them about that. And so that's something we can do, staff can do, in the near future, like next few months. And so I will add that. I will add emphasis. I'll redraft this, adding emphasis to the Kids Kingdom, doing that sooner rather than later, and talk about approaching the Development Corporation and seeking council's assistance for additional funding for that. I'll redraft it, and then I'll send it back out to everybody, and then just comment back to me individually. Don't comment, reply to all. And then once we agree, I'll redraft it even after there's more comment, then I'll send it to Ben. Once everybody's okay with it, so we can sign it, so we don't have to wait for the next meeting to finish this.
Great.
Okay.
So you're just going to redraft this and
I'm going to
get out
redraft it and then send it back out for comment, and then keep fine tuning it until y'all are satisfied with it.
Okay. Great. Then hear and discuss an update on the River Parks master plan.
So yes, I'm trying to remember. Did we have the board meeting then the tour?
We had the tour after the board meeting.
Okay. So the last big thing is they came to town. We had a tour with the steering committee of the river parks that are part of this plan. And then we were scheduled to have a public meeting, the first public meeting, but that's when the storm, the fear of the storms came, and they did come. And it would have been a bad time for folks to be out at the time. So we called it right, but we were cautious. So
We didn't call it right. SASD is the one that called it. So,
well, it did storm about the time people would be out to go to the meeting, so.
We got an eighth of an inch, yeah.
It is what it is. So we talked to the steering committee and with SWA to talk about how to get some input. And they said, well, this has happened before with some of our other plans. One approach we have is to do a survey and then still have the other public meetings. We have another one scheduled for May 11 or 10. It's coming up. Is it? Okay. I should have had that. But it's coming up in May. So in the meantime, we're getting the survey information. I think there's going to be a cutoff for sometime mid next week to get that input. I didn't realize you could actually see it now.
I actually have it pulled up on my phone if you want me to go through some of it.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, okay, I'm gonna take my glasses off because I'm blind. I
Just
can
hit
see
the
better.
highlights.
Yeah, so what typically brings you to the river parks? The highest was 532 people answered concert, festivals, light tour, 590 walking, running, cycling. Golf was, actually skate skateboarding was at 35, golf was at 72 people. There's a lot of feedback. I'm not going to go through those. Let's see, what brings the biggest hope? What is your biggest hope for this project? 338 people, upgrade space for leisure play and reflection, and on the low end was celebrate regional history and art with 23 people. What is your second choice? The high answer with 217 was the same, upgrade space and leisure, and 62 people at celebrate regional history and art. That was at number 2. Biggest concern for the project, 254 people said maintenance and upkeep, and 219 was park safety, and 28 people changes to the golf course. Second choice was, again, maintenance was on the high end, and park safety was on the high end, and golf was on the lower end. And let's see, improved water quality was high at 236 people. More nature and biodiversity, 179 people. And a cleaner and healthier Concho River was 411 people.
So is that like, does it update with additional responses?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Does it update with additional responses?
Yes, I believe so.
I guess, could you share that with me after the meeting so that I can share
I
it
can,
with the board?
yes.
Okay, that way y'all can have.
Anyways, that kind of gives y'all an idea. If you do the survey and you go to the end of it, when you hit the finish tab, it'll tell you, see what others say. And there's a whole lot of good information with graphs and stuff. So pretty cool to look at.
Okay. And yeah, we're waiting for the results of that. We do have a steering committee. We skipped this one, but a couple of weeks. And then the public meeting.
Okay. Hear and discuss updates on key activities, projects, programs, and events from the Parks and Recreation divisions.
Wait, let Jesse go first this time.
All right, I'll only take up about 22 minutes of y'all's time. Right now, it's a lot of getting prepped for summer. So we have the pool, which we started getting set up by brushing the sides, brushing the floors that we could reach. As it gets warmer, we'll actually be getting in there. Starting this next week, if weather cooperates, we'll start filling up the splash pads for the sake of starting to get the water cycled through and see if there was any damage, from winter. Surface level wise, everything looks fine, but it's not till we kick everything on. So basically, the first glance is you walk around and see, all right, is there anything cracked or anything, got damaged? Then there's what it's like when you fill it up, and then there's what it's like after it's been cycling and running through. Because we have some field trips in May who we'd like to have the splash pads open for once we get to that time of year for at least one of the parks, if not both. But worst case scenario, if there's a lot of issues, we'd still be open by the week of Memorial Day would be the worst case scenario is the plan. And then the pool is, we have 9 that are going through the process of getting onboarded. A couple more who we're looking to get that going with. We're going to start marketing a little bit more just to start filling up some more positions, but we have been slowly getting some more texts and stuff of people wanting to come back and apply from last year. So I have a good chunk of returners, which is good for starting out the season because that means we have some people who are already certified to start while we're trying to get all the new ones going. So we're looking good there. The only thing we're lacking right now is we're still interviewing for a pool manager. So I had a couple candidates and then we're just looking for a few more. But assistant pool manager down to guards were good, and we have a rec coordinator this year who's helping with the sports complex and the pool. So she's actually going to re-up her certification for lifeguarding at the end of this month. So we're looking pretty strong. And I'm still certified for one more year for lifeguarding, so worst case scenario, if they need a little help, I can go out there, add some charisma and charm to the pool. And then we have registration going for summer day camp. We're going to start pushing marketing a little bit more with that later on in the month. And then we have our Summer Flag Football League. Last year, we had over 70 teams. The year before was 47. So we're either looking to maintain in that 70 range or grow. We have a peach jar ad that should be going out by this week or early next week to several of the schools. And then marketing's working on a post on Facebook. And then I have a sanangelo live interview here in a couple weeks where I'll mention that, and then the summer day camp. Pool parties are booking up, where most of our weekends of summer are taken up. So basically most of the real estate left is during the week for private pool parties. And then this past weekend we had our girls flag football tournament. We had one division make, but it's our first year doing it. It went well, and we were able to get, Brian with marketing was able to get plenty of good pictures for us to market for next year. So the plan is to keep growing that and eventually get our summer flag football league to where we have a girls division and a boys division instead of it being co-ed, is kind of the goal from there. And then sports complex rise, we are ahead revenue-wise on rentals than what we were last year by almost 1,000 at this point, and then we have several months left to go in the year. So there's a chance we'll have a record year in terms of the past 5 years. So that's it for Rick.
All right, I'm on. No major changes with parks. We're in full maintenance mode. This is our busy event season throughout parks. There's events almost every single weekend, tournaments every weekend at the sports complex. We are mowing, trying to keep up with the grass and the weeds. If you've noticed that stuff is getting a little hairy, but we're working. I've approved overtime for my staff to go out and mow. I'm proud to say that we are only 4 positions shy of being fully staffed. So we've been making progress there. Major projects, we are getting ready to finish up the storage building at the Texas Bank Sports Complex, which is years in the making. So it's a huge step for us. I'm hoping by the next meeting I can update you all and say we're completely done with that project. Besides minor touch-ups and getting our staff moved in there for maintenance. We just finished up the shade structure at the Texas Bank Sports Complex. I don't know if you guys have got a chance to look at that, but it yeah, so we poured on a day that was a little hotter than we would have liked to, and the concrete set a little quicker than we would have liked. So they were going through and buffing it out and trying to smooth it out, make it look a little nicer.
It looks good to me.
Yeah, yep. So hopefully get done with the storage building and move on to some smaller projects that have been needing some attention, and then moving over to Santa Rita Park and getting started on those renovations. So before Carl retires is my timeline.
And then on that shade structure, we've been getting more rentals on quad 1 and 2 for the weekends because of the updates to Rio Concho, where people are wanting to rent that. It's like, no, but you can rent a field and then go play there. So that's what we've been doing.
We may look at updating our reservation and adding that pavilion on there. There's no picnic tables under that pavilion just yet. We're trying to figure out a funding source and see if we're going to have enough funding this fiscal year to pay for some tables to go under there. If not, it'll be at the beginning of the next fiscal year.
Yeah, nice looking building.
Yes, sir.
Or tent, I guess you can call
Yep,
it.
yep. You guys have any questions for me? Thank you.
James, did you want to share that?
Oh, no, that's all
Okay.
right. That was just a suggestion for a Lutyens pavilion up at the top of the lily pond thing.
Yeah, I sent it to the SWA group.
That's looking from down below up above.
That's above the collection.
It's just some rough sketches.
Go. All right, so
You can have- those are
future
copies.
agenda items?
You can have if you want it, or if you don't.
I think we talked about one a little bit with the waiving of fees. Future agenda items?
Oh, future agenda items.
Yeah, I think
So,
we talked about one with the waiving of fees already.
The policy on the nonprofits and
Yeah.
alternate locations for them. And then, what else do we have?
The park, or we're gonna do that sending out the email for,
Yeah, I want to get that done before next meeting.
Anything else?
Oh,
So I
and
have I don't think this is a future agenda item. I have a suggestion, you know how we keep saying we're gonna go visit parks? We never do it. So I have a suggestion that every board member at each meeting recommends a park for the next meeting, and you're on your own to go visit, but you gotta get to it before the next board meeting. Okay? And I'm gonna recommend Civic League Park, and you gotta walk all the way down to where the lagoon is, and you gotta walk around the lagoon. All right, so that's my contribution to that for an initial one.
but it's a little scary down there now.
It's
Well,
not that
once
scary.
you go ahead and
The
organize
high
it-
schoolers, I mean, they weren't having sex when I was down there. Yeah, it's,
They're well behaved. I take my dog down there every day, and
you can actually walk over the dam. And if you don't feel like doing that, you can just walk up to, I think it's Pecos Street, isn't it? It's not.
yeah, it's not Harris, it's
No,
Pecos.
it's Pecos at that point.
Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Harris before it crosses, then it's
Yeah,
Pecos.
yeah, and it's Pecos. Anyway.
Yeah, and then
you can
Harris-
walk up to the road and you can walk around it that way and you don't have to deal with the dam. The dam's kind of cool, so, anyway.
It's pretty treacherous getting down from the west side. The steps are this tall.
The steps are tall, yeah. But anyway, and if you just want to go to the top of the hill and look down on it, that's fine too. Anyway, that's my contribution, so.
When do you want to do it?
Attendance will not be taken. And if you want, if you arrange a time, I'll take you there.
Oh, I've been there a lot, yeah.
Okay.
And
Anyway.
Brian Grove sent me the link to that survey, so I'll share it with everybody probably tomorrow.
Cool.
Is that homeless people still down in that Civic League Park?
There weren't a lot when I was down there.
There was an encampment on the,
They're closer to Beauregard.
Yeah, Beauregard.
I was going to suggest they
more
develop that
wooded.
part of the park too, so. They did preliminary, they did little planting rings around some of
Yeah,
the trees down
yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah.
And, but there's some kind of dangerous rock overhangs and stuff that, they're not dangerous, but kids would fall off of
Yeah,
it.
it's a little,
It's okay. I
It's a
figured
lot of fun
it's
for
rough,
kids.
yeah.
They gotta learn how to fall off the rocks.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my contribution. So next month, somebody else can volunteer ones from someplace.
Okay. You said next meeting is May 6th? Okay. Anything else? All right, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?